I do want to make one announcement now. This was in last week's newsletter. We're offering a free month for your first month of using Google Docs. If you haven't ever used this tool before, now's your chance. It's a free setup. We'll help you install it, help you get trained on how to use it. And we just want to get this tool out there because we think it's incredibly valuable. And some people maybe have just not wanted to try it yet because there is an additional cost. It's $60 a month for the feature, but that's after this trial is over. So if you contact us any time during this month, we're going to give you a 30 days of using the tool for free. So let's get to that tool now. Just a couple things to point out. We've got this blog rolling. It's at this point, it's something that we're really proud of. It's an incredibly strong, just marketing program, but really customer support is the primary objective. And you can learn about new features and the products that we're working on here at any time. There's a couple places that we publish it. If you go right to our homepage, you'll see this carousel of the latest news from our hometown. Every single week, we're sending out 2 newsletters a week with different blog posts in them, different events. But I definitely want to also point out that under the dashboard, if you haven't noticed this yet, if you go to your dashboard, right here is a feed of the blog too. So it's really easy to keep up to date on the different news announcements that we're putting out at our hometown. But I just want to go through the newsletter. We talked about the Google Docs add-on announcement, that free trial. Every week, we're also including an episode recap. So in tomorrow's newsletter, we'll have a link to this video, so you can watch the replay there. Let's talk about some of the upcoming events. This is really exciting. We're going to be doing this on Friday at noon. Our next virtual conference is on getting started with video. And in this conference, it's really the first of a series of virtual conferences where we're going to talk about the different ways that newspapers are getting into more of a digital-first mindset, digital-first workflow, thinking more beyond just, the print edition and text articles into more multimedia forms of reporting the news. And this one is going to be focused on video. Maybe you've experimented with video a little bit yourself. Maybe it's something that you've never gotten into. No matter where you're at in terms of producing video, this is a great conference to check out because it's about getting started with it. So we're going to talk about some of the really simple ways that you can start producing video for your website. And we're going to talk about some concrete examples. Originally, I was going to talk about the way that we produce video in this, but then I learned about these publishers that are doing really interesting programs with video. They have an incredibly consistent live stream. So that's with the Wilson County News. They have a weekly live stream on Facebook Live where they talk about the news and they interview local businesses. And they get a lot of engagement through that. So that's one easy way to get started. You don't need a lot of equipment. You can do it right on your smartphone. You can do it on your computer. That's true with all these examples. We're also going to be talking about the Waves program. Mark Healy, the editor there, is leading up a program called Fridays with the Wave. And there may be some news coming on that soon. I don't want to talk about it yet, but we're working with the Wave on a possible new project to expand this weekly update that he's doing now into a really interesting area. But I'm not going to talk about it yet until we actually have that project rolling. But for right now, what he does with that is he sits down at his laptop once a week. Again, not a lot of time required to do this stuff. He sits there with the print edition, and in basically one take, he'll record himself talking about the stories in that week's paper. It's not a huge time commitment. He does it like I said, it's one take, so it's not like he spends a lot of time editing it after. He doesn't, say cut action every time he messes up. It's a very natural thing. It's kind of like these office hours. Not everything goes right in these things every time, but I think that the world is getting used to that type of video. You don't need to spend a lot of time over producing it, making it perfect. What's more important is that you're putting video out on a regular basis, and your subscribers and your readers can see you talking about the news. It doesn't have to be perfect. What's more important is that you do it consistently. And so we're going to talk about their programs in detail, hear from them about some of the pros and cons between doing it in a live stream versus a pre-recorded video. Kristen does it live and Mark does it pre-recorded. There's different approaches to this, different types of video that you want to do live or that you can only do live. Like the Wave, they do some live video of things happening in the community. So, maybe it makes sense, like there's some announcement going on the boardwalk. You want to just get that recorded live because, you want to be the first one to get it out there. That's how they look at that. And, that particular case, application of doing video. So check it out. You can register on the website. We've got a blog post on this where you can register at the bottom, but you can always check out our virtual conference page to register for all of these. This page is always going to have the next virtual conference as the feature. So check that out. The other thing that we announced in our publisher newsletter last week was this concept. And this is kind of a teaser for our next virtual conference, which is going to be about getting started in audio. This idea that you could be creating a podcast with audio articles. Okay, podcasts, that's another thing that we've all heard about, but the idea of sitting down and producing a podcast and taking time out of our day to record, prepare, well, first of all, prepare all the stories, write a script, record the audio. It's just seems like a huge time commitment. So that's why we developed this concept of creating a podcast from audio articles. So as you know, audio articles will automatically transcribe your text articles into mini podcasts. And the way that let's take a look at the Wilson County News really quick. The way that actually comes through on the website is I click on any story and it automatically has this playback on it. So I can listen to the story and it is going to sound like this.
Audio articles on Wilson County News made possible by White Lightning Liquor.
So there's that ad opportunity right at the beginning. You can type a message from your local advertiser that's sponsoring this feature, and it will read it off at the beginning of every article on the site. But then it'll go on to read the title and then the body. So let's check this out.
Falls City community honors veterans. Through the lens from photographer Vivian Schwierk as she witnessed Friday night's military appreciation event. This was a very inspiring moment to reflect upon the freedom we enjoy today and those who risked their lives to protect this great nation. God has surely blessed this country. May we never take it for granted. Thanks be to God and to all our veterans.
Okay, so that's a very short article, but you get the idea. So we have had audio articles out there as an option for a while now, but this idea of stringing podcasts, these mini podcasts into one large podcast is something that we just came up with. And we're doing this ourselves. So we're trying to lead by example with all these things. We're not just out there telling you should do this. Seems like a good idea, maybe you should try it. These are things that we use to market our hometown. So, creating video like I am today, but also these podcasts. So we have a podcast, it's called the Our Hometown News, and on it, we will take the audio from office hours, we'll take the audio from virtual conferences, all these different videos that we're producing, and put it out there as a podcast episode. But what we're adding to that the weekly podcast is a podcast from audio articles. So these are all the blog posts that we're putting out there. So again, like we're repurposing the content in a new media format. So we've already spent the time writing these blog posts. The idea is let's get it out there in an audio format for people that prefer to listen rather than read. I think that's kind of the name of the game these days, because everyone is finding their preferred method of consuming news. Maybe it's video, could be audio, text on the website, or in the print edition. But this is how it could basically come out. So let's check this out. I think this is the latest episode, but let's see.
Election polling, free setup through Election Day. Our hometown's WordPress publishing platform includes a very simple polls tool that customers can use to poll their readers and gauge public opinion on various topics.
Okay, so that actually is not the latest episode. I want to show you a more recent one. But the idea here is that we've got this canned intro animation, and then we just show the featured image as the visual for the video. Okay, so what I'm trying to do here is just show you that you can create a video, an audio file, and a text article all from one piece of media. So it actually starts with the text, then you create the audio, and then you create the video from it. And you could also do it in the reverse. You create the video first, and then export just the audio, and then turn that into a transcribe that into an article for the print edition. But the technology just makes it very easy for you to move up and down between these different media forms. But so the thing to point out here is that you can have just an audio file, but then still get a video from it, because this is something, it's not a whole lot of fun to sit here and watch this particular video because it just has one featured image. But if you had an article that you created an audio article from, an audio file, and that article had 5 images on it, then when you create this video, you could have a slideshow going of those different images, and you can make it a little bit more interesting to look at, maybe by adding a Ken Burns effect of panning across the image as it's reading that story. There's a lot of opportunity here. Let's say it's a sports story and you've got pictures of all the top scoring players in the article, then you could time it so that when the audio article is talking about what that player did, it shows a picture of them. And this is all manual right now, so you do need to have the resources to do it. You got to have a video editor. We can talk about, if you're interested in this, we have a video editor. Maybe we could help you produce these. But the ultimate goal is to automate all this stuff. So that's what's coming down the road. If we could somehow use some level of artificial intelligence to, tag the image as the person's name, and then, have the program recognize, okay, we're talking about them at this point in the podcast, so we should show the picture that's talking about this person. That's, what we're driving at long term. But right now, it's a manual process. It's just, an idea for you to consider. And I've had a couple publishers email me about this, and we've had some meetings that they do have the resources to create these videos, so they're going to start doing it with their audio articles. Okay, so that's just something that was in the newsletter last week. We're going to go into it a lot more depth in the next virtual conference. And we've also got an announcement. We've got very excited for the Times Independent to join the Our Hometown community. They've been with us for a couple weeks now, actually maybe even a few months, but we wanted to announce their official launch. They came to us. We actually met through a virtual conference. They heard about one of our sessions and came to listen about some of the things that we had to say on paywalls. And within a week or two, we had a new website lined up and launched for them. And they were on WordPress before, so we were able to recreate the template that they used on our platform very easily. But I'm excited about this one because it's actually our first paper in Utah, which is now my home state. So really looking forward to going to visit them as soon as possible down in Moab, Utah, and maybe see the arches when I'm down there. Okay, what else we got here? We talked about these news articles. Okay. The other thing that I want to highlight is that a lot of publishers are doing this. This is just another idea for you. You can take it or leave it, but I think that this is a very powerful idea. The fact is, who else is really acting as the historian for your community other than you as the local newspaper? There really isn't anywhere else that you can go and get a detailed history of your town. And most of this stuff is going to be stored on your website. So if you've been with our hometown for any significant amount of time, we keep all your archives on there. Everything that you've ever sent us is still on the website. And also, many customers, when they come to us, they bring archives with them. So it could extend even further back. But this is just a concept that we've seen a couple publishers acting on. So this isn't an idea that we had. We actually got the idea from Mary at the Archbold Buckeye, where she has a weekly article called Golden Notes of Archbold's Memorable Past. And that it perfectly demonstrates this technique. Each week, this article contains clippings. Actually, I think it's less of a clipping. It's more of just like a summary of the historical events happening in the town from 10, 25, 50, 75, and 100 years ago. She does all those time points. So what was happening in the paper? So she's referring to her own paper as her way of doing the research. And she just summarizes what was happening at these different time intervals. And it's just super interesting. So let's see here. Here's her 10 years ago. So I don't believe that this is actually quotes from the old paper. I think that this is just she reads the archives and then comes up with a summary of what was happening at the time. But you can see that we do the extraction on it, and this is what it looks like 25 years ago on October 11th, 1995, 1970, 1945. Yeah, so there's a little bit on it looks like an obituary, new construction on homes, just little tidbits of information. But like if you live on Vine Street, this means something to you. This is personalized history, and 100 years ago. So yeah, just a super cool idea happening at the Archbold Buckeye. I think they're also doing it at the Wave. And another thing that I thought would be worth mentioning is that this could be a good way to like there may be an opportunity right now with the way everything's virtual. A lot of education is happening online now. You could tap into that. We have publishers that have given free subscriptions to students in the community with a coupon to try to get them involved in the paper, get them interested in reading the local news. So that's one angle you could go about it. But I think that almost creating a whole track in the high school, middle school curriculum for local history that goes along with world history, American history, that could be something that's just like a 10 or 15 minute segment at the end of history class to talk about local history, and they could be using your digital archives to get that information. I think that's a huge opportunity. It's not really a particularly well developed thought right now, but I think that there's a lot of potential there, and I'm excited to see how things go for Cecile at the Journal Tribune, because she's experimenting with this and trying to get the next generation interested in local news. Okay, so anything else on just one quick thing. We want to just open up to people, because I've been looking at our customers, trying to see what they're doing and doing my own research. And we hear from our support team. They'll tell me sometimes when they see a paper doing something interesting with audio or video. But I just want to make a formal request here. If you are doing anything with video or audio at your paper, please contact us. Share your ideas. And if you're open to it, I'd love to have you on these virtual conferences as a panelist, or just someone to, if I could present what you're doing as a case study, and then maybe you could answer questions. Totally low stakes with this. Don't mean to put the pressure on you at all. Some publishers want to share their ideas, but they don't necessarily want to present it or be on a webcam presentation, and that's totally fine. We're just trying to act as a melting pot of ideas at our hometown. That's our goal. So we want to learn from what you're doing, what's actually working. Any ideas that you have that are generating revenue are certainly of interest. But even if they're not generating revenue yet, but there's a potential to do it, that's what this session is all about. So we've got a forum on the website. There's a blog post this week. You could just send us the idea. Mark, if you're interested in being part of the conference. And please share those ideas with us. I mean, just in general, share any ideas that you have with us on how you're using the website and how you're adapting your business to, this new local media landscape that we're all faced with. Okay, so that's, I think, all I've got for the news. And actually, I've got to wrap this up. I've got another webinar at 1 o'clock. So I think we'll call it a meeting for today. And thank you all very much for checking out today's office hours. Let me know if you have any questions on the GoogleDoc integration or any of the news that we talked about today.